Hello students, I am your science teacher. Today we will start lesson 9th of science, body movement.
All living organisms show movements. We can observe many movements taking place in our body. For example, our teeth chew and grind the food. The heart beats to circulate the blood to all parts of the body. We see objects around us by moving our eyeballs. The chest moves up and down as we breathe.
All living things organisms होते हैं वे मूवमेंट शो करते हैं. तो हम ऑब्जर्व करते हैं कि हमारी बॉडी के अंदर मैनी मूवमेंट्स होते हैं. हमारे जो च्यू होते हैं वो फूड को ग्राइंड करते हैं, तो हमारे जो जॉज होते हैं वो मूव करते हैं, जॉज एंड टीथ. ठीक है, ऐसे ही हमारा हार्ट जो है कंट्रैक्ट एक्सपेंडेड होता है और सर्कुलेट ब्लड टू ऑल पार्ट्स बॉडी में करता है. हम देखते हैं कि ये सभी जो ऑब्जेक्ट्स हमारे अराउंड अस वे जो है मूविंग करते हैं.
The change in the position of any part of the body with respect to its axis is called movement. We can observe the shoot system of a plant move, turn in the direction of sunlight. The roots move, grow in the direction where water is available in the soil. The leaves of the mimosa plant move, fold up when touched by hand. The flowers of the daisy plant move, close up at night. So, we can say that the movement of a body part is necessary for the life process of all the living organisms.
तो हम देखते हैं कि कुछ प्लांट्स भी होते हैं जो कि मूवमेंट करते हैं, जिनके अंदर की जैसे मैमीजो जो प्लांट है उसकी लीव जो है वो मूव करती है. हम जैसे उसको टच करते हैं वो मूवमेंट करेंगे. ऐसे जो डेजी का फ्लावर्स है वो भी नाइट के टाइम जो है मूव करता है. तो मूवमेंट जो है हमारे सर्वाइवल के लिए ऑल लिविंग थिंग्स जो है उनके अंदर नेसेसरी है.
Plants as well as animals. The movement of the whole body of an organism from one place to another is called locomotion.
स्टूडेंट, जो वह मूवमेंट जिसके अंदर की जो कोई ऑर्गेनिजम्स है वो अपनी होल बॉडी, ठीक है, पूरी बॉडी का मूवमेंट करता है वन प्लेस टू अनदर, तो यह कॉल्ड लोकोमोशन.
Plants are mostly fixed to the ground, so they do not show locomotion. Animals have the ability to move from one place to another, so they have the power of locomotion. Animals show locomotion in the form of walking, in the case of human beings, running, in the case of horses, swimming, in the case of fishes, and flying, in the case of birds. Locomotion helps animals in several ways. It helps them to find their food and water, protect themselves from their enemies and predators, move from an unfavorable environment to a favorable environment. We see in winters birds migrate from the severely cold regions of the earth to warmer regions to protect themselves from the excessive cold. Find their partners, mates for reproduction. Find suitable places for laying eggs or rearing their young ones.
सो स्टूडेंट्स, जो लोकोमोशन होता है वो हमारे लिए क्यों इम्पोर्टेंट होता है? तो इसमें फर्स्ट पॉइंट है कि हम अपने फूड और वाटर के लिए प्राप्त करने के लिए जो लोकोमोशन मूवमेंट करते हैं. इसके अलावा स्वयं को अपने एनिमीज से प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए भी जो लोकोमोशन मूवमेंट होता है वो इम्पोर्टेंट होता है या ज़रूरी होता है. नेक्स्ट है कुछ अनफेवरेबल इन्वायरमेंट्स को से हमें फेवरेबल इन्वायरमेंट में जाने के लिए भी मूव करना पड़ता है. इसके अलावा हमें सूटेबल प्लेस को ढूंढने में, फाइंड करने में जहाँ की हम अंडे दे सकें, ठीक है, तो उसके लिए भी मूव करना पड़ता है.
Before we discuss the different types of movements in animals, let us take a look at the skeletal system of our body, which helps in the movement of our body parts and locomotion.
इसके बाद हम स्केलेट सिस्टम के बारे में पढ़ेंगे ह्यूमन बींग्स का, जो कि हमारे मूवमेंट में हेल्प करते हैं.
Skeletal system. All the bones in our body also form a framework to give a shape to our body.
तो स्केलेटन क्या होता है? फ्रेमवर्क होता है हमारी ऑल बोन्स का, जो हमारी सभी हड्डियाँ होता है उनकी हमारी बॉडी के अंदर, ठीक है, इसको तो कॉल्ड द स्केलेटन.
This framework, which is made of all the bones in our body, is called the skeleton. Functions of the skeleton. The skeleton has the following main functions. It gives shape and support to the body. It gives protection to the delicate internal organs of the body. For example, the skull protects the brain. The rib cage protects the heart and lungs. The backbone protects the spinal cord. It helps in the movement when body muscles are attached to the bones. They together produce the movements in the body. They help us to stand, run, walk, and so on. Parts of the skeleton. The human skeleton consists of.
तो हम बेटा फंक्शन ऑफ स्केलेटन देखते हैं कि स्केलेटन के क्या फंक्शन होते हैं. स्केलेटन जो होता है वो हमें हमारी बॉडी को शेप और सपोर्ट देता है. इसके अलावा ये हमारे जो इंटरनल ऑर्गन्स होते हैं उनकी प्रोटेक्शन करता है. फॉर एग्जांपल जो स्कल्स होता है वो हमारे ब्रेन्स को प्रोटेक्ट करता है, ठीक है. जो हमारा हार्ट होता है उसको रिब केज प्रोटेक्ट करता है. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट है, इसकी सहायता से, इसके हेल्प से हमारी बॉडी के जो पार्ट्स होते हैं वो मूवमेंट करते हैं.
5 basic parts. The skull, the backbone or spine, the rib cage, 2 pairs of limbs, 2 pairs of girdles.
स्केलेटन के 5 पार्ट्स दिए गए हैं बेटा.
The skull. The skull is the bony structure consisting of the brain box and facial bones. The brain box is the upper portion of the skull. It is made up of 8 flat bones joined together. The brain box encloses the delicate brain inside it. It protects the brain from injury and shocks.
तो फर्स्ट पार्ट आता था स्कल. स्कल जो होता है वो हमारे हेड का स्ट्रक्चर होता है, उसको स्कल्स बोलते हैं. तो यह 22 बोन्स का बना हुआ होता है. इसके अंदर 8 फ्लैट बोन्स होती है जो हमारे ब्रेन बॉक्स में होती है, जिसको ब्रेन बॉक्स या क्रेनियम कहते हैं. यह इनक्लोज करते हैं और प्रोटेक्ट करते हैं हमारे ब्रेन को, ठीक है. एंड 14 बोन्स जो होती है वो हमारे फेस को शेप देती है.
Our face is made up of 14 bones. The lower jaw is the only bone in the skull which is movable. It enables us to chew our food and speak. The backbone or spine. The backbone forms the main axis of the skeleton. It is made up of 33 small bones called vertebrae. These small bones join together to form a strong column called the vertebral column. It protects the delicate spinal cord. The vertebrae can move over each other. This allows you to bend and twist your back as shown in the figure.
नेक्स्ट द बैकबोन और स्पाइन. तो बैकबोन जो होता है बना होता है हमारी स्केलेटन की एक्सिस के नीचे. तो इसके अंदर 33 स्मॉल रिंग शेप्ड होती है, शेप की रिंग बोन्स होती है जिनको कि वर्टेब्रिक कहते हैं. दे स्मॉल बोन्स होते हैं, ये ज्वाइन होते टुगेदर एक दूसरे से स्ट्रॉन्ग कॉलम में, जिसको कि वर्टेबल कॉलम कहते हैं. और यह हमारी स्पाइनल कॉर्ड को प्रोटेक्ट करता है और हमारी बॉडी को जो है सपोर्ट देता है.
Rib cage. There are 12 pairs of thin and curved bones called the ribs. These bones form a rib cage which protects the heart and the lungs. All the
नेक्स्ट है रिब केज. तो रिब केज के अंदर 12 पेयर्स होते हैं थिन और कवर्ड बोन्स के, जिनको कि रिब्स कहते हैं. ये बोन्स जो होते हैं रिबेज हमारे हार्ट और लंग्स को प्रोटेक्ट करता है.
12 pairs of the ribs are joined with the backbone at the back, and the first 10 pairs are joined with the chest bone in the front. The last 2 pairs of ribs are free at the front end and are called floating ribs. The limbs. There are 2 pairs of limbs. A pair of forelimbs or arms, a pair of hind limbs or legs. The bones of the arms are joined to the spine by the shoulder girdle and collarbone. In the upper arm, there is only one bone, humerus. In the lower arm, there are two bones, radius and ulna. Many small bones make up the wrist, palm, and fingers. The bones of the hips are joined to the spine by the hip girdle. In the upper leg, there is only one bone called femur or thigh bone. It is the longest bone in our body. In the lower leg, there are two bones, tibia and fibula. Many small bones together make up the ankle, foot, and toes. The girdles. There are two pairs of girdles, a pair of shoulder girdles, a pair of hip girdles.
नेक्स्ट है द गर्ल्स। तो गर्ल्स के अंदर बेटा टू टाइप्स होते हैं। फर्स्ट में ए पेयर ऑफ शोल्डर गर्ल्स एंड ए पेयर ऑफ हिप गर्ल्स।
The limbs are not joined directly to the backbone, spine, but to the girdles. The arms are joined to the shoulder girdle. The legs are joined to the hip girdle. The girdles lie on either side of the backbone and are fixed to it. Human body and its movement. Let us start by finding out the movements which we make daily and then try to move the various parts of the body.
नेक्स्ट पॉइंट है ह्यूमन बॉडी एंड इट्स मूवमेंट। तो हम देखेंगे, हम फाइंड करेंगे कि जो मूवमेंट होते हैं जो हमारे डेली में डेली जो हम करते हैं, ठीक है, वे जो हमारी बॉडी के वेरियस पार्ट्स होते हैं उनके अंदर कैसे होता है।
Joints. Bones are joined with each other at different places. The place where two or more bones join is called a joint.
स्टार्टिंग में जॉइंट देखते हैं तो वह स्थान, वह जगह, वह प्लेस जहाँ पर दो या दो से ज़्यादा बोन्स जो है आपस में ज्वाइन होती हैं, जॉइंट कहलाते हैं।
Bones are joined by tough, flexible bands of elastic tissues called ligaments. The surface of bones forming a joint is lined with a layer of smooth, rubbery tissues called cartilage. This cartilage acts like a soft cushion so that the bones do not rub against each other and damage themselves due to friction between their surfaces. The joints in the body are divided into three main groups: immovable or fixed joints. These joints do
फिर है टाइप्स ऑफ जॉइंट्स। जॉइंट जो है थ्री टाइप्स के होते हैं। फर्स्ट है इमूवेबल और फिक्स्ड जॉइंट।
do not allow any movement between the bones. For example, the bones of the skull, except the lower jaw bones, are interlocked with each other and held together by fibrous cartilage, which do not allow any movement.
तो इसमें भी वे जॉइंट्स आते हैं जो कि कोई भी एनी मूवमेंट बिटवीन द बोन्स, बोन्स के अंदर कोई भी मूवमेंट करने का अलाउ नहीं करते। फॉर एग्जांपल द बोन्स ऑफ द स्कल, स्कल की जो बोन्स होती है मूवमेंट नहीं करती, ठीक है।
Slightly movable joints. These joints allow very little movement due to the presence of a pad of flexible cartilage between their ends. For example, joints present between adjacent vertebrae in the backbone or spine allow only slight movements. This kind of joint provide more support. Freely movable joints. Most of the joints in the human body are freely movable. These joints allow free movement of bones in various directions. Movable joints can be further classified into the following four different types.
नेक्स्ट है फ्रीली मूवेबल जॉइंट्स। तो कुछ मोस्ट ऑफ द जॉइंट, कुछ ज़्यादातर जॉइंट ऐसे होते हैं ह्यूमन बॉडी के अंदर जो फ्रीली मूवेबल होते हैं। तो इनको हम क्लासीफाई करते हैं
depending on the type and extent of movement they allow. Ball and socket joints, hinge joints, pivot joints, gliding joints. The ball and socket joint. If we raise our arm to our shoulder's height and rotate it in all directions, we can swing our arm like a wheel. This is because in this type of joint, the ball-shaped end of one bone fits into the hollow cup-shaped socket of the other bone. The bone that fits into the socket is free to move in all directions about the joint. This joint allows maximum movement in all direction.
द बॉल एंड सॉकेट जॉइंट में क्या है कि इन दिस टाइप ऑफ जॉइंट, इस तरह के जॉइंट के अंदर बॉल शेप होता है एक बोन्स के एंड के अंदर, ठीक है, और इसके अंदर दूसरी जो बोन्स होती है उसके अंदर एक हुलो होता है, हुलो कप शेप होती है, और ये ये सोक्ड ऑफ अदर बोन्स के अंदर ज्वाइंट होते हैं, मैक्सिमम मूवमेंट करते हैं ऑल डायरेक्शन में। इसकी वजह से क्या होता है कि ये ना ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा मूवमेंट कर सकते हैं ऑल डायरेक्शन के अंदर। तो ये कहाँ होते हैं ज्वाइंट? हमारे शोल्डर्स में एंड हिप में, ठीक है, बोल आर सोक्ड ज्वाइंट रहते हैं।
The joint of the upper arm and the shoulder bone is an example of this type of joint. Similarly, the hip joint of the leg bone, femur, and the hip bone is also a ball and socket joint. Hinge joint. You must have observed that doors are attached to the wall by metal clips called hinges. They allow the door to be opened or closed. A hinge joint is like the hinges in a door. We have hinge joints in our elbows, fingers, knees, and toes. They allow movement of the bones in one direction, that is, up and down, or back and forth movement.
नेक्स्ट है हिंग ज्वाइंट। हिंग ज्वाइंट में जैसे हमारे डोर होते हैं, डोर के जो जोड़ ज्वाइंट होते हैं इस टाइप्स के होते हैं। तो हिंग ज्वाइंट कहाँ कहाँ होते हैं? हमारे एल्बो में, फिंगर्स में, नीज में एंड टोज में। तो ये जो ज्वाइंट्स होते हैं ये हमारी बोन्स की मूवमेंट को वन डायरेक्शन में अलाउ करते हैं, जैसे कि अप डाउन बैक एंड फोर्थ मूवमेंट।
The elbow joint, a kind of hinge joint, allows us to bend our forearm and straighten it. It does not allow us bend our arm backwards or sideways. Pivot joint. In such joints, a bony ring rotates around a pivot axis or stick-like bone, which is
नेक्स्ट है प्योर ज्वाइंट। इस ज्वाइंट के अंदर क्या होता है? हमारी नेक जो होती है वह हमारे हेड से ज्वाइन होती है, तो यह प्योर ज्वाइंट है।
fixed. This allows twisting movement about the joint. The joint where the skull near the neck area joins the first vertebra of our spine is a pivotal joint. It allows us to bend our head forward and backward and turn the head to our right or left. Similarly, the joints of the forearm where the two bones, radius and ulna, twist around each other are pivotal joints. Gliding joint. This kind of joint allows bones to glide over each other, providing little movement in all directions. The ends of both the bones at the joint are either flat or slightly curved to allow gliding or sliding movements. In our body, the gliding joints are found between the wrist and the carpals and between the ankle and the tarsals. Muscular system. Bones alone cannot move by themselves. The bones are attached with muscles, which help to
नेक्स्ट है मस्कुलर सिस्टम। तो हमारी बोन्स जो होती है वो स्वयं से मूव नहीं करती है। बोन्स जो होते हैं हमारे मसल से अटैच होते हैं।
bring about all movements of the body. The muscles are attached to the bones by strong fibers called tendons.
मसल जो होते हैं हमारे बोन से अटैच होते हैं किसके द्वारा? स्ट्रॉन्ग फाइबर्स के द्वारा, जिसको कि टेंडन्स कहते हैं।
There are about 650 muscles in our body, and each one causes a particular movement. The muscles help us to smile, chew our food, push food into the stomach, and also make our heart beat, etc. Locomotion in animals. Earthworm. We can see an earthworm crawling on the ground during the rainy season. Do you know why? They come out of their underground burrows or homes because they are filled up with rainwater. An earthworm has a long cylindrical body made up of many rings or segments joined end to end. It has a liquid skeleton. On the undersurface of the body, a number of minute bristles are present that help the earthworm to get a firm grip on the ground. Muscles attached to these bristles help to contract the body. Snail. Snails have hard shell on their back. It is the exoskeleton that protects the snail from heat and enemies. Whenever it senses danger, it hides its soft body inside the shell. Snails have a large flat foot. The foot produces a slimy substance called mucus, which helps the snail crawl over the surface. The mucus reduces the friction between the foot and the ground surface. The muscles of the foot enable the snail to move forward. A trail of mucus is left behind when the snail crawls. The shell does not help in moving from place to place. It has to be dragged along. Cockroach. A cockroach's skeleton is outside its body. Exoskeleton. They have 3 pairs of joined legs and strong muscles to pull these legs. This enables them to walk or run. Their feet have tiny claws that help them climb walls. Though cockroaches have 2 pairs of wings, they can fly only short distances. Cockroaches walk in a very interesting manner, moving 3 legs at a time. When a cockroach walks, its 3 legs, 2 on one side and 1 on the other, support the body, while the other 3 move the body forward. The movement is repeated. However, this time, the 3 legs that previously supported the body now move the body forward, whereas the 3 legs that previously moved the body now support the body. In this manner, the cockroach is able to walk. Most birds can fly. The following features help them to fly. They have streamlined bodies that cut through air easily. This makes it easier for them to move through air. Their bones are hollow, which makes it easier for them to fly. The bones of their forelimbs are modified as wings for flying, while that of their hind limbs are used for walking and perching. They have powerful chest muscles, which help them in flapping their wings during flight. A bird flies with the help of its wings. During its flight, the wings perform 2 types of movements. When the wings move down and forward, they push the air down, lifting the body of the bird in the air. This movement of the wings is called downstroke. When the wings move upward and backward in preparation for another downstroke, the movement of the wings is called upstroke. Birds like ducks, which live in or near water, have webbed feet. These feet help them paddle or swim in water. Their feathers are also waterproof.
Our lesson is complete, so we start this chapter exercise. Very short question answer. First question is, why do animals move? Animals move to find their food and water, to protect themselves from enemies, and to find suitable place for laying eggs or rearing their young ones. What are the functions of the human skeleton? Human skeleton gives shape and support to the body and protect the delicate internal organs of the body. It also helps in the movement of our body parts together with muscles. How does an earthworm move? An earthworm moves through contractions and expansions of circular and longitudinal muscles and holding the withdrawing of bristles. Next question is, name 4 types of movable joints in the human body: ball and sock joint, hinge joint, pivot joint, and gliding joint. Name 2 types of muscles that are involving in the bending and straightening of arms: biceps and triceps. How many types of girdles are found in human body? Name them. There are 2 types of girdle in found in human body: a pair of shoulder girdles, a pair of hip girdles. What kind of arrangement is found in the ball and socket joint? A ball and socket joint, the ball shaped end of one bone fits into the hollow cup shaped socket of the other bone. How many legs does a cockroach have? A cockroach has 3 pairs of joint legs. Where do you find a hinge joint in your body? Joint of elbows, knees, finger and toes have hinge joint.
All living organisms show
Next exercise is short answer question. What is a rib cage? What is the function of the rib cage? The 12 pairs of thin and covered bones called the rib cage. Rib from a cage-like structure is called rib cage. The function of rib cage is to protect the heart and lungs. What are fixed joints? Give an example. The joints which do not allow any movement between the bones are called fixed joint. Example: bones of the skull are interlocked with each other, which do not allow any movement. Why do animals move from one place to another? Animals move from one place to another to find food, water, shelter, partner, suitable place for laying eggs, and protection from enemies. Why cannot we bend our elbows backward? Our elbows have hinge joint that allow movement of bones in one direction, upwards only, so we cannot move our elbows backward. Why is mucus secreted by a snail foot? A slimy substance called mucus is secreted by a snail's foot, which reduces the frictions between the foot and the ground surface and helps the muscles of foot move forward. A trail of muscles is left behind when the snail crawls. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन है नेक्स्ट एक्सरसाइज है लॉन्ग क्वेश्चन आंसर. एक्सप्लेन इन ब्रीफ द डिफरेंट टाइप ऑफ मूवेबल जॉइंट इन द ह्यूमन बॉडी. मोस्ट ऑफ द जॉइंट इन द ह्यूमन बॉडी आर freely movable joints are of four types: ball and socket joint, hinge joint, pivot joint, gliding joint, ball joint. Next question, how do the muscles attached to bones bring about movement? Muscles are the fibrous tissues in the body that have the ability to contract. Muscles are attached to the bones of our skeleton through strong fiber called tendons. So when the muscles attached to a bone contract, it pulls the bones do with the. Next question, how does bird fly? List the features that help a bird. The birds fly with the help of strong chest muscles and wings. Birds can fly because of the following reasons. The forelimbs are modified into wings which help them fly. Hind limbs are used to walking or perching. Why does a child have 300 bones, whereas the adult who have grown up bigger in size has only 206 bones? A child has about 300 bones, but an adult person has only 206 bones. The reason is that as the child grows, some of the bones fuse together and thus the number of bones is reduced in adults.